Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. Glad you could be here with me. Today we are talking about book series that I am really loving. Let's go. So I'm going to be talking about some series today that I've been working on for a while that I'm just really excited about where it's going. Really enjoying the process and the journey as I'm reading through these series. And let's get right to it. Let's figure out what these are. I am going to start off with a series that you are probably not surprised in the least about, and that is The Dark Tower by Stephen King. This is such a gripping and engaging series. It really is. The level of mastery that Stephen King has put into this series is just unlike anything I have read in fantasy before. And that's probably partly due to the fact that it's not necessarily just fantasy. It's an amalgam of a whole bunch of different genres. You got portal fantasy, you got epic fantasy, you got sci-fi, you got dystopian, you got all of these things with a healthy dose of pop culture references tossed in to sweeten the deal. It is just amazing. I can't get enough of this series. I just recently finished Wolves of the Kala, which is book 5, and I'll be doing a review on that here shortly, so you can look for that. But oh man, I can't wait to see where the last 2 books in the series go. And I know the end of the series is divisive among Stephen King readers, and that's okay. I've read divisive endings that I absolutely loved, and I've read ends to series that I just didn't like all that well, and other people really liked. So you never know until you finish the series. So I'm gonna give it a go, and I think, who knows? I'm optimistic. I think I'm probably going to like where it ends up, but we shall see. I am loving the Dark Tower series though, and I can't talk it up enough. And I'm really happy that I read Salem's Lot before continuing on into book 5 of the Dark Tower. I'm really glad I made the choice to do that because Salem's Lot just plays so much into this series. I was kind of surprised at how much it did. So there you go. The Dark Tower series is the first book on my list. Next, we are going to go with the Witcher series. It's a 7-book series created by Andrzej Sapkowski. It is translated from Polish into English. And a lot of people get kind of bogged down in the writing style, and I don't know if that's because of the transition from Polish to English. Maybe Polish tends to be a little bit more wordy language than English is, but whatever it may be, I don't care because this series is really engaging. I find it to be very dialogue heavy, which is fine. It doesn't bother me that much because it really lets you get to know the characters a lot deeper than you might in other stories. So the character of Geralt, the Witcher, is just a fantastic character. He's sometimes quite one-sided, but that's okay. He's a lovable one-sided character. I mean, he's got other facets to him as well. He's got different sides, and he does have nuance, but it takes you a while to kind of discover the nuances. I think one of the characters that I am actually really enjoying getting to know is Ciri, and that Ciri is his ward. He's kind of helping to train her, but at the same time she's being trained by other people because she's got various different skill sets, and she's got a unique set of abilities that just require loving guidance to help her hone those skills. So Siri is a fantastic character. I'm just loving this series, guys. It's not my favorite series of all time, or at least, not so far. And I don't necessarily think it will be, but man, is it good. It is so great. So that is in my number 2 slot. The next series I want to talk about is The Deathgate Cycle by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. You've heard me talking about it. I am absolutely loving The Deathgate Cycle. It's got some really superb character work. It's got really engaging plot and world building. And the way it's broken up, with the world having been sundered into 4 different realms that are all uniquely their own, and the different pitfalls and benefits that each world provides our characters, is just really interesting to watch. So I'm just absolutely loving The Deathgate Cycle, and it is easily becoming one of my favorite series of all time. Probably not my top by any means, but I'm really absolutely loving it. So The Deathgate Cycle is one that you need to put on your radar if you have not. And this next one will probably come as no surprise to any of you, or at least some of you who've watched my channel and you know my tastes. And that would be The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Jim Butcher has just written a fantastic world and a fascinating set of characters. Harry Dresden, not the least of those, a private detective in Chicago who is also a wizard and happens to take all the uniquely weird and supernatural cases. And I think he's really created a winner in this series. So far where I'm at in the series, I've only read the first 4 books, so you might say, well, Chaz, you're kind of new to it. How can you say you're really loving it? Well, I think I can say I'm really loving it 4 books in. I really like the Monster of the Week format that it gives. I really like the window into Harry Dresden's life, seeing all the nuances about him and seeing him grow out of the typical macho asshole persona into a more caring and discerning person, even though he still has his high schoolish asshole traits. I can see him growing and maturing in so many ways, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where Harry goes in the series. I will be starting book 5 hopefully next month. That's the plan. I'm hoping to start that in March, so I'm really excited because I've heard book 5 is really where the series takes off. And that's saying something because the series is already really a lot of fun to read and really exciting, lots of action. So if it really takes off in book 5, I've got a lot to look forward to. So absolutely loving The Dresden Files. And then the last one on this list is a fairly new series for me. This is the Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden. Now, granted, I have only read The Bear and the Nightingale. I have not read the other 2 books in the series. I am about ready to start The Girl in the Tower this month. But I put it on this list because I just have such a good feeling about this series. The first book in the series, The Bear and the Nightingale, was one of my top reads of 2021. And if you have not seen my video about the books that I put on that list for 2021, I'll link it in the description below. I'll put it at the end in the cards as well. And I was so blown away by how good the book actually is. And I'd heard a lot of good reviews on it. A lot of people talked it up. And sometimes, when you get really hyped about a series from everybody that you listen to, you kind of end up being let down. I've had that experience with other books, but this was not that experience. I experienced just the opposite. I loved it just as much and maybe even more so than many other people did. So that is on this list of series that I am absolutely loving. Even though I haven't read book 2 yet, I have a strong sense of confidence in saying that I am loving this series, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Now, I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions here. I'm going to go into this just letting you know it may seem inconsistent, but here it goes. The first honorable mention is the Malazan Book of the Fallen. The reason I'm putting that as an honorable mention is because I absolutely love Gardens of the Moon. I was blown away. So far I am liking what little I have read in Deadhouse Gates. But it's a 10-book series, guys, and I just don't know enough about it to know if it's going to work for me totally or not. I think it will. I have a good feeling about it. But I'm a little bit more ambiguous about this series than I am about the Winter Night trilogy. Because so much of the Winter Night trilogy has already been built for us in the first book, at least to my understanding. But in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, there are so many characters and so many world-building elements and so many plot devices that it's really hard to know whether or not I'm going to call this a series that I'm really loving this early in the game. I have a good feeling about it, but I'm just not sure. I'm holding off judgment until I at least get through Deadhouse Gates and maybe Memories of Ice, and then we'll kind of reevaluate and see how I feel, whether I can say, oh man, I'm really loving this series. I have a good feeling, but I'm holding off judgment until I get a little further into the series. With a shorter series like Winter Night, it's easier to make a snap judgment, if you will. But with Malazan, it's just so much more complex than that. So that's why I put it as an honorable mention on this list. And then the second honorable mention on this list is the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. I absolutely love what I've read so far, at least recently. I read Guards Guards, I read The Hogfather, absolutely loved both of those. In the past I've read Color of Magic, I wasn't really blown away, but of course my understanding is that Sir Terry had not solidified the Discworld when he was writing Color of Magic. He was just kind of writing a satire to see where it went, and he wasn't really planning on anything. But now, 40 plus books later, and we have this large Discworld, and 40 books, guys. I just don't know yet how I'm going to feel, if I'm really going to love the Discworld or if I'm only going to love a select few books. We'll see. I am going to read Men at Arms this month. So, that's the second book in the Guards series, or in the City Watch series. And I have very high hopes for it coming off of Guards. But it's such a large series, I'm just not ready to pass judgment yet whether I'm going to say I really, really love it. I really love the books I've read, but every book is going to be a little bit different from what I understand of this series. So that's why it is an honorable mention for me. So that is it, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you agree with some of my choices here? What are some of your choices? What series are you really loving right now? And let's talk in the comments, okay? One thing I do need to let you know, and this is just a side note, my series that I'm absolutely loving is done. We're done talking about that topic, but I have something special that I need to tell you about. And that is, I am starting a new long-form discussion series called Chasm Friends. And this is going to just be a random, topical, nerdy chat with different creators, different friends of mine. And, we're just going to get together and express our nerdy selves all over the camera. And you're going to get to watch it happen. And if that's your thing, you need to tune into these. I'm going to do probably one a month only. There might be some months where I do more than one. We'll see how it goes and see how it works with the schedules for people I want to get on. But I'm really excited. My first guest, and I'm going to link his channel in the description below. My first guest is going to be Bryce from Shelf Centered. I'm really excited about that. We have it set for February 20th. And we're still kind of solidifying the time, but I'll let you know as it gets closer. Stay tuned, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to try this out. It's a new project on my channel, and let's see how it turns out. But I'm really excited, and I'm excited to have Bryce as my first guest on the channel for that specific series. And I hope you really enjoy it. So, yeah, that is the end of this video. I have no more to say on that subject or the subject prior. Let me know in the comments what you think. And guys, you need to make sure you read more books. I'll talk to you soon.